What is up, guys? It's J-Rob here from Team Energy Golf Clash coming at you guys for the first time on camera. So, what's up, guys? We got the Namhae Cliffs tournament guide and walkthrough video here today to go through. But before we get started, I just want to do a quick little intro for you guys. Now that we actually get to talk face to face, we almost got the studio set up here. We're a little bit shy. We need to shine it up in here. We need some stuff. But just wanted to make a personalized video, and that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to personalize the content, really put a face with a name, get to really hang out with each other, and hopefully going to be starting to stream here soon as well. But we're also starting a podcast channel if you guys are interested in that. But I know you guys are here for golf, so before we jump on over to Namhae Cliffs and start it up with hole number 1, make sure you guys hit that like button if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and let's hop on over to the video. Let's get it started. Alright, guys, what is up? Welcome to hole number 1, par 4 here for Namhae Cliffs. We're going to be going over all of the holes here today, so make sure that you guys pay attention and make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel before we get started. Alright, guys, let's get to it. So we wanted to pull this up on the screen here, this little bit of a clip. It's an older clip, but just wanted to show you guys that a hole-in-one on this hole would be awesome, and it is definitely possible. So what we're going to do here is play with about 3.5 bars of topspin, 2 bars right-hand side spin, and you're essentially going to hit the sweet spot on that little island fairway. It's going to ricochet your ball straight across just on the other side of that rough like we saw there, and it's essentially going to let your ball go in for the hole-in-one if you're lucky. Now, what we're going to do here for, if we have a wind that we're capable of doing that, that's what we're going to do. We're going to play it with about 3.5 bars, 2 bars, right-hand side at max distance plus 10% elevation here. But if we have a drastic headwind, something that's coming right back at us, then you can play it on the right-hand side, and we're going to show you guys a clip for that as well. So we just wanted to make sure that you guys aren't blasting your ball straight across that fairway, because you will drop off the other side, because that fairway is pretty fast on the other side. The green it rolls pretty quick, so just make sure that you don't end up in the water hazard on the other side. Make sure you're safe. Make a nice shot here, but we're looking for just a little bit of curl. We want a quarter of a ball of curl, just slightly to the right hand side. And I wanted to show you guys that it's essentially better to hit that rough and just roll out into the fairway than use too much topspin and actually, blow way past the hole like we were just talking about. So you'll actually be left with just a little bit of a wedge chip right to the pin here, and it's going to be a pretty easy chip. So if you're comfortable with that, that's what I would just recommend. Trying to go for that, island rough bump to chip it in with your your wedge. Just get the eagle real nice. If you're not trying to go for that hole-in-one, if you can get that hole-in-one and you can get that dialed in, more power to you. Especially in pro and expert, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a trickier shot, but definitely one that is capable of doing so. But we're going to be able to slam it in there for the eagle on hole number 1, par 4 there. But just wanted to show you guys as well here that if we do have to play this on the right hand side, it'll be perfectly fine. Don't sweat it too much. If we have a really bad headwind, I was actually wanting to go to the left hand side on this specific approach, but we had a really bad headwind in the clip, so I couldn't. So we had to go for the right hand approach. Now what I would recommend doing is playing with about 3 to 4 bars of topspin, using a side spin 3 ball here, and then just going with a little bit of curl, about half, 50% curl to the left here. And we're essentially just going to play this at max distance plus 10%, just like we would the other shot there to the left hand side. But we're looking for that curl just to set us up for a nice second shot here. That's essentially going to get us right down in the middle of this fairway here, and it's going to give us a nice shot at about minimum to mid distance here, depending on how far over to the right we are. We may end up being at about minimum distance here with our long iron. But what we're looking for here is about a mid-distance shot with our Thorn, Hornet, some type of short iron here that you feel comfortable with, so that you can make a nice shot. Now, I actually played this specific shot here at 0%. We need to play it at 10%, so that's why you're going to see me come a little bit further even to the left here as we hit great left as well on this approach. But essentially, just make sure that you guys can make a nice straightforward wind adjustment here, and you guys should be pretty much, just fine, as long as you can hit that perfect ball and not mess up and hit great left like I did. I've had so much trouble lately hitting a perfect ball. Like it's either something's on my screen or my phone's cracked, and it flings my balls. But that's going to be the wrap up there for hole number 1, par 4. We're going to move on to the very first par 3 that we do have here today at hole number 2. So the way that we're going to play this hole here on hole number 2 is we have a couple different options. If you do have a crosswind and you feel comfortable going with this rough bump approach, you could definitely use the rough bump approach. I would go with about two bars of backspin with the rough bump. Just kind of feel your ball guide in. It may be like a bar and a half of backspin. Just feel it in. But what we're going to do is play this bounce over approach here at about mid distance on our long iron. And that's going to be played with plus 15% elevation here, so definitely keep that in mind. Now we played this at 10% elevation. That's why you're going to see us come in just that little bit there to the left. We should have moved it just a little bit more than we did, but we're going to go back over this again with you guys so you guys can see, the par 3s. We'll get, they don't take very long, so we'll go through them again and essentially give you guys a better eye on it and really see the adjustments that you're taking. So, there you can really see that ball guide that you have. If you would have had a crosswind there, the rough bump may be a good approach, and you will see some people landing the hole-in-one with that opportunity if they have it. But we're just looking for that straightforward approach with the ball guide about a couple squares shy here of the pin, so it has that little bit of room to roll. And right there, we should have moved it all the way about out to the edge of the clear ring there, and we would have been about perfect to come in just that half a ring to the right there and drop for that hole-in-one. Good luck though, guys. It's going to be kind of a trickier one here. Pretty straightforward, kind of tricky if you're going to go for the rough bump depending on the wind, but should be an easy one. So we're going to move on over here to our next par 5 that we do have here, or the very first par 5 that we have here in the tournament, Namhae Cliffs 9-hole cup. So this one may be a tricky one here. This we can play a couple different ways depending on the topspin that we have on our club. Now, elevation on this specific hole here is going to be max distance plus 20%, whether you're playing from the right hand side over here or the left hand side. Now we're going to show you guys a couple different clips, but this is the main way that I would really recommend that you guys play this hole. Now you guys can play this here to the right hand side. Now you're going to want to try to get it as far down that fairway as you possibly can, because that's going to help you get as much distance towards the green as you possibly can. That's really going to help grab that eagle on this hole. Now if we can get all the way down here, the second shot on the right hand side here is going to be played at a minus 10%, and that's going to be a huge factor that you guys are going to have to essentially play in, because we're going to show you guys a couple different clips here, and we'll get into why that's a big factor here in a minute. But what you guys can also do here is, if you're feeling a little bit risky, you think you can make a nice shot here, you can go with the bounce over approach. Now if you do end up in the rough on the left hand side, just wanted to let you guys know that you can make the green still if you have a nirvana that is up into the distances. When you get into the higher clubs, I'd say around 120 would be about the distance that you need to reach the green. So what we're going to do here is play this with full topspin, 2 bars of right hand side spin, and we're really going to want to curl to the right here to hug as much of that right hand side as we can. Now I should have added about 15 to 20% right hand curl here. Now that would have kept me down this right hand side into that little S curve, and we would not have went in the rough right there. So that would have been a really big factor in being able to make a nice albatross attempt on that second shot with that bounce over opportunity. but I just wanted to show you guys that it is possible. Now, on this second shot here from the right-hand side, this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about, because that minus 10% elevation is going to be a huge factor if you can reach the green. But make sure that you guys can essentially keep that in mind so that you don't end up hitting this rough. Make sure that you know that the wind isn't going to affect it as much. So essentially what we're going to do there is play it. You know, my opponent came in there and hit the rough because he was overplaying it. He thought that the wind was going to affect it even more than it did, but at minus 10% there, it wasn't going to affect it as much. So essentially wanted to show you guys as well here that we can also reach the green, like we just said, with the Nirvana if we have that distance. So you guys will be able to still grab the eagle if you do go for the more riskier shot and essentially land up in the rough. But just wanted to say here as well, this is our first guide doing it on the video and doing it this way, so I hope you guys can bear with me here as we go through this. But we'll get better as we go along. Everything will be a lot more smooth, crisp, and we'll be able to clean things up. But essentially, we're just wanting to make sure that we can make a nice straightforward approach there from that second hand side, and that's really why I would recommend playing that with the Guardian, so that you have that distance to really go on the green approach. And you can do it with like a full backspin approach, or like 6 to 7 bars of backspin straight at the pin, right up on the green, so you know that you can make it. But that's going to move us on over here to hole number 4, par 3, guys. So this is another pretty straightforward par 3 that we have here. Now, what we're going to do here is play this at mid or max distance plus 20% elevation. Now the elevation is going to be a huge factor on this hole and getting that right, and you can actually play this at a couple different locations. You're just going to make sure that you don't roll off the side of the green here. Now you can play it a little bit further back there like my opponent did and use about like a little click of top spin, or play it with no spin, essentially straight at the pin. But what you guys should do, in my opinion, is actually play it up right almost where that little dip is in the green there. Now, that's going to allow you to play it with about 3 bars of backspin straight at the pin. Now, you're going to have to take into account that elevation as well, but just to make sure that you take into account that elevation, just over adjust that tiny little bit so that you know that you have it. And you should be able to come in. We actually under adjusted just a little bit here in the video. Actually, we should use just a tiny bit of overpower there, and we would have came in the perfect spot that we needed to actually push our ball up those couple rings further than I needed right there. But essentially, it's going to be a pretty straightforward hole for you guys there. Just make sure that you can make a nice wind adjustment, really straightforward at getting in the pin there, and it should be a good chance at a hole-in-one. Alright though, guys, that's going to move us on over to hole number 5, par 4 here for Namhae Cliffs. So the elevation here off the tee box for hole number 5 is maximum distance plus 10% here. So essentially we're looking for that little bit of a curl here from this first fairway on the right hand side. We're looking to curl it about 25% here with full top spin, 2 bars of left hand side spin, 3 bars here, but that may eliminate just a little bit of the curl that you have. So we're looking to just clip that rough there, roll out into the fairway, and be able to take a nice chip right at the pin for the eagle. So essentially we're going to be playing this at like max distance with our wedge here, and we're essentially going to play this at 0%. So we're just going to play this straightforward right at the pin, making sure that we can make a nice wind adjustment here. Now unfortunately I believe I just missed this shot by a little hair. because the numbers on my Rapier 7 aren't exactly the numbers that are on my Rapier 9, and that's what I'm usually used to adjusting for. So that's why I actually missed this shot, because I was playing on one of my lower level accounts here. But essentially, just try to make that nice straightforward shot there. You're going to be right outside the green, so it should be a pretty straightforward chip to be able to make. The more that you curl it, you may end up in the rough. You may hit fairway to fairway, and you'll end up rolling way past and into the rough. You don't want to end up doing that. So just be careful with that. But we also wanted to show you guys, a couple more clips here and ways that you guys can play this, because you guys could essentially play it with the APOC here as well, giving you a little bit more topspin if you wanted, if you didn't have the extra mile, because the distance that we have here on the right hand side really isn't going to be affected a whole lot. You'll still be able to reach the point that we need to be able to bounce from, but you can add a little bit more curl to it as well and play it more to the right hand side, and you can try to curl it into the green more, if that makes sense. Now my opponent hit great right here a little bit, and he should have hit great left, or great left if he wanted it to come in better, but he would have ended up more in towards the green and could have actually hugged right that tree and went into the fairway and ended up on the green. There is a possibility that you could end up on the green there if you do have enough topspin and are able to bounce from fairway to fairway all the way curled and into the green there. But essentially just make sure, like we talked about here, that you can make a nice chip outside of the green here, guys, and you should be just fine, in my opinion. If you guys are unsure of your numbers, I would definitely just look up a chart, make sure that you guys can, look up your numbers before that you go into the tournament, weekend round, opening, doesn't matter. Make sure you know your numbers. Definitely a good little tip there for you guys. It'll definitely save you on little chips like that, that you know where to adjust. Alright though, guys, that's going to move us right on over to hole number 6, a par 5 though here for Namhae Cliffs. So the way that we're going to play hole number 6, par 5 here, is we're more than likely going to pull out the berserker ball here, and we're going to play the right hand side off of that island. That's the best possible option if we have a wind that's capable of doing so. So we had a crosswind here, kind of a little bit of a headwind back at us, but with the topspin I had there on the extra mile 9, I knew that I was definitely going to be able to make it all the way over onto the other plateau there. But essentially what we're going to do here is full overpower if we need it, and then if we do have a headwind here, we're going to play it on the left hand side, but we're essentially looking for that double bounce right onto that second platform that the green lies on. We're going to try to roll it as far down towards the green as we possibly can, essentially. So that's going to set us up for a really nice wedge chip there just outside of the green. Now we can play this to the left hand side and take a pretty nice sniper shot to the pin if we have to, but like we said, we're more than likely going to play that right hand side if we can. We're going to play it max distance plus 10% there off the tee box, whether it's a left hand side or right hand side. You're probably going to use a little bit of overpower on this hole because you're wanting to get it as far down the fairway as you possibly can, whether it be right hand side or left hand side. Now switching back to the right hand side here, we will have a chance to go with a full backspin thorn approach if you feel more comfortable with that, or a minimum distance short iron approach here if you are a little bit further back. But if you're further up, what I would recommend doing is really extending out that ball guide and use that ball guide to your advantage in that top spin with extending it out. So pull it back, make sure that you're pulling it back, extend the ball guide so you're not fighting the wind and trying to use overpower on your wedge. That's definitely not something that we really ever want to try to do unless it's absolutely necessary. But make sure you can pull it back, guys. Make a nice wind adjustment here. And you guys should be able to come in there hitting a perfect ball, pretty straightforward, right off the fringe there, or the edge of that fairway, coming in straight at the pin, being able to drop that albatross. This is going to be one of the best opportunities in this tournament there to really grab that albatross. So definitely good luck on that shot there, guys. It may be a tricky one, but one, if you can nail that shot there, you're going to be in pretty good shape. But if we do have to play this from the left-hand side, which is definitely a good option as well, we have a shot here for my opponent that's using about bar and 3/4 topspin there. If he would have used just about 2 bars, I bet he would have probably been a lot closer at going in, if not dropping this albatross as well. But making sure here that we're going to play this second-hand shot here at max distance plus 10%. Now, I do want to also mention that if you do have a wind where you're trying to just lay up on that right-hand side island, and you're going to try to chip off the island and over to the fairway that, the green lies on, then you're going to be playing that shot there at plus 40% elevation. So you're going to have to definitely keep that in mind as well. But good luck on that hole, guys. Maybe a trickier one, but we're going to move on over to hole number 7 here, par 4. This one is going to be another hole here that you're going to want to possibly break out the big balls here. I said it, guys. We're breaking out the big balls. We got them. We're going to use them. So we may have to use a little bit of overpower here, but we're going to play this off the tee box here at plus 10% elevation, just essentially making sure that you don't blast it too far way past the green, but we're going to want to use just the right amount of topspin. As you can see, my opponent there coming in, just clipping that rough there, coming out into the fairway. Now, this may be another par 4 here that you could potentially get a hole-in-one on, so I think we might see some pretty cool shots coming out of this tournament, which I'm pretty excited for. So it's always cool to, snag a couple pretty sweet shots out of the tournaments, especially. But like we said here, guys, I'm going to pick a nice power 5 ball here if we got one to use. You may want to use a bar right-hand side spin here to kind of guide it down the middle of that fairway a little bit better. But I would say around 6 bars of topspin is going to be your sweet spot. Now, we had a little bit of a tailwind here as well that was going to help us push down the fairway. So I wasn't exactly sure how far my ball was going to really roll, because if we had hit a bad spot on that fairway that shoots our ball forward, we're really going to take off, and then you're going to end up in the bunker or the rough behind the fairway, and then it'll be a little bit harder for you to get the eagle. So it's always better to just stop a little bit shy there of the fairway or the green, to be able to just chip in your ball. But it is always nice there to be able to put your ball in for an eagle, especially. But like we said, guys, if you guys can hit a nice perfect shot and make some nice wind adjustments, you guys should be pretty good in this tournament. It's all going to be about club distance and your elevations. There's a little bit of trickier elevations on this course, so you may want to definitely make sure you write them down, go through them as you're going through the holes in the tournament together. Wouldn't be a bad idea. But what I would recommend doing here is extending out that ball guide like we always do, using that ball guide and top spin, and really being able to drop that ball, extending out so you're not, as affected by that wind. Because if we can pull it back and, it isn't as affected by the wind, that's always a plus. But that's going to move us right on over to the second to last hole that we have here today, guys. It's going to be hole number 8, par 3. Now, this is another one here that may be a pretty cool hole here to snag another stroke. Now, this is going to be one that, you're going to want to ride that little bit of a backstop up, that little bit of a, backstop there behind the pin, so that we can funnel right back down and snag that hole-in-one. If you want, you can go with a couple more bars of backspin, about 3 bars of backspin straight at the pin. You can do that as well. But what we're going to do is try to ride that funnel, essentially. You can play it with a bar, 2 bars of right-hand side spin. Just get your ball in that sweet spot where it's going to roll up that fairway, and then or the green there, and then back down towards the pin, because essentially we're trying to catch the pin. I under-adjusted that, or over-adjusted that just a little bit We should have played that there at plus 10% off the tee box and actually played it at plus 20% elevation there. So just make sure that you guys get your wind adjustment right. We're going to go through it one more time here to show you guys a nice little spot there that you can get used to on your adjustment lineup here. We can play it with about the white ring there. It looks like touching the edge of the rough on the left hand side, so that's a nice starting point where we know that our ball guide is going to just come up that little hill there on the backstop, hit that fringe, and come just down. Just before it's about to hit the fringe, we want to see it break and start to curl right back down to the right. Now we may want to just offset our ball guide on the right hand side so that we know that whatever way our wind is pushing, it may come and just that little bit will be able to come and snag the pin. But this may be a trickier one there to actually get the hole in one. You're going to have to make a pretty precise shot, but it's definitely one that you're going to see quite a few people landing that shot. So that's going to be the wrap up there for hole number 8. And we're going to move it on to a pretty sweet clip here that we got in an awesome way to play hole number 9 and finish up Namhae Cliffs 9-hole cup. So what we're going to do here on this hole number 9 is we're going to break out the APOC here, or higher level rock if we have it, wouldn't be a bad option. But we're going to try to get it right to the left of that squiggly bunker on the second fairway. We're essentially going to curl it with about 3 bars of top spin, 3 bars of left hand side spin, and we're essentially going to curl it right around to the left and get it right down on that fairway right beside the bunker, because it's going to set us up for an amazing second shot there. Now off the tee box, we're actually going to be playing that there at plus 20% elevation, so definitely keep that in mind, that you can make sure that you get your elevation correctly, because you don't want to over adjust or leave a little bit less curl and then you end up in the bunker over there or something, or in the water. That definitely wouldn't be good. But we wanted to show you guys here that you have an absolutely awesome rough bump opportunity here for your second shot. Now, left or right hand side doesn't matter. We're going to play this at plus 10% elevation here for our second shot. Now, what we're going to do here is play this with just a half a bar of backspin. Half a bar of backspin. You can use just a click of right hand side spin, to guide your ball in just a little bit more towards the pin there. But we're looking to just clip that rough on the very plateau of that green. Now, if you can get a nice crosswind like we had in the clip, it's definitely going to be an advantage. But just make sure that you can trust your wind adjustment if you do go with the rough bump, if you don't have a crosswind. So we're going to clip that rough, and it's going to push us right across that green, straight at the pin there, dropping for another albatross in the tournament. So we can get 2 albatrosses in the tournament and a couple hole-in-ones on par 4s and some hole-in-ones on a par 3s. Man, this is going to be a high-scoring tournament for sure. So definitely look out, man. There's going to be some sharks in this tournament for sure. So if you're wanting to grab some extra strokes and really land some shots, I'd definitely check out, some guides. Check out a lot of these elevations, practice it up, and make sure that you guys can dial in some shots. But we're also going to show you guys here that you can play it off the right hand side as well, but we're going to play this left hand side approach because I wanted to show you guys a second option if you didn't feel comfortable going with that rough bump. But I just wanted to essentially tell you guys that you can play it on that right hand side, the very first fairway. If you just hit it straight down that fairway, as long as you can get to the very end of that fairway, you'll have a direct shot over this bunker there to the right hand side, and then you'll be able to bounce over that bunker straight at the pin. Now you may find yourself a little bit further back, and you may have to go between that bunker and the rough line there, straight at the flag from the right hand side, but just make sure that you make a nice shot and you don't go into bunker. But from the left-hand side here, what we're going to do here is, you see my opponent playing this with 2 bars of right-hand side spin. That's correct. Now, we want to essentially play this with a half a bar of backspin from the island as well, giving that just a little bit of control to go straight at the pin, but we need that speed so that it bounces from plateau off that island, and it actually gets up onto the green, but it doesn't grab that speed like you see the ball go take off and go across the green there. So just make sure you can make a nice shot there, guys. But that's going to be the wrap up here for the Namhae Cliffs 9-hole cup guide and walkthrough video here, guys. We really hope this helped you, and I thank each and every one of you guys for being here with us today. Thank you guys for watching the video and bearing with us here as we go through our very first live footage of the actual tournament guide. So I hope this helped you guys, and you guys got a nice chance to meet me. So thanks, guys. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.